welcome to E-Pathshala. I am Dr. Sylvia Subbapriya from the Department of Food Science and Nutrition. In this, we are going to study about the paper on nutrition and wellness and the module on Gandhian foods for health and fitness. In this module, we are going to learn about Gandhian views and ideas on foods for health and fitness. I am sure all of you have heard about Mahatma Gandhi, the father of our nation. You must have seen him in pictures, videos and movies, not to mention the currency rupee notes. You may also have read about him in books and magazines. Who was Gandhiji in reality? A freedom fighter? A mutineer who challenged the great British Empire? Who was he? Well, Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi, or Bapu as he was affectionately called, was a multifaceted personality, a lawyer to begin with, a freedom fighter, educationist, philosopher, naturalist, idealist, an exemplary leader, son, husband and father, and he had many other facets. But did you ever know that Gandhiji was a foremost nutritionist? Isn't it surprising? For many of you, it could be shocking as well. But the reality is that Gandhiji advocated several nutritional facts giving sound scientific reasons which have been authenticated by modern scientific research several decades later. Here you can see Gandhiji, his picture in the tricolor. Today we will see about the nutritional facts that Mahatma Gandhi propounded, that is, the Gandhian views on health and fitness. In this module, you will understand the Gandhian principles of health and disease, comprehend his concept of the human body, health and disease, adequate diet, role of different foods, disease, fasting, and maternal and infant nutrition. Now, let's begin with the Gandhian views on the human body and health. According to Gandhiji, what is the human body? His concept of the human body is that the human body is the universe in nature. He says it has the vastness and potentialities of the whole universe. Next, he says that the human body is the temple for the spirit to live in. Now learners, do you know what the spirit is? The spirit is the non-physical part of a person. It is the seat of his emotions and character, the inner self, inner being, the inner man or woman a person really is. The next point he puts forth is really profound. Gandhiji says that the human body is meant for selfless service to fellow beings. Isn't this fact astounding? In his concept, the purpose of being born as a human being is to offer selfless service to others. All these purposes of the human body, he says, could be fulfilled only when it exists in a state of health. So, according to Gandhiji, the one and only purpose of being healthy is to uplift fellow human beings. What a lofty ideology. Next is his concept of health. Gandhiji offers a profound and holistic definition of health. Probably his explanation of health goes even beyond the standard definition of health by the World Health Organization. Let us analyze the definition of health offered by Gandhiji phrase by phrase. According to him, health is firstly body ease, that is, freedom from disease, even from minor ailments such as headache, body ache, fever, or common cold. Secondly, it is the ability to carry out normal activities such as eating, sleeping, performing daily chores, or carrying out more demanding physical activity which is strenuous to the brain without fatigue. The third requisite of being healthy is the ability to walk 10 to 12 miles a day with ease. In the picture, you can see Gandhiji leading the historic Dandi March. He set out on foot on March 12, 1930, accompanied by several dozen followers. After each day's march, the group stopped in a different village along the route where increasingly larger crowds would gather to hear Gandhiji rail against the unfairness of the tax on poor people. Hundreds more would join the core group of followers as they made their way to the sea until on April 5, the entourage reached Dandi after a journey of some 240 miles or 385 kilometers. Can you realize how he could accomplish this strenuous feat, that too at the age of 61 years, a senior citizen? This enormous feat he was able to accomplish because of his glowing and uncompromised health. His definition of health goes on. He says, a healthy person should be able to perform ordinary physical activity without getting tired, digest simple and ordinary food, whereby the mind and senses are in a state of complete harmony and poise. Next, we move on to his views on foods and nutrition. Gandhiji followed a diet pattern which is now considered ideal from the nutritional viewpoint. What he advocated 70 years ago is now being promoted as the ideal diet pattern. He propounded the entire concept of food for healthy living and holistic development of an individual, facts and thoughts that are now being realized through scientific research nearly 70 years later. According to Gandhiji, his ideas of an adequate diet are simple and easy to follow even for a small child. That is, the foods recommended by him are simple to eat and digest even for a child. He advocated a vegetarian diet with the exception of goat's milk, the only non-vegetarian food. The most amazing aspect about Gandhiji is that he propounded facts and principles for which he gave adequate scientific explanations. The major Gandhian foods are shown here for you to understand better. The first picture shows pulses, the second picture shows groundnuts, the third one flax seeds, the fourth is goat's milk, and then you have green leafy vegetables and fruits and vegetables, spices and condiments, and then you have germinated sprouts, split oranges and soya bean and the milk derived therefrom. He advocated the consumption of pulses, red gram, green gram, rajma, lentil, Bengal gram and other grams and dals with special reference to soya, which he said was as good as non-vegetarian foods in terms of protein content. Groundnuts were the ideal source of protein and oils needed for the body. Flax seeds he advocated for fat burning and antioxidant activity beneficial to health. Milk, according to him, had to be consumed only as a substitute for pulses. People taking adequate amount of pulses in their diet need not consume milk, he said. Fruits and vegetables should be grown organically and could be eaten ad libitum. Cereals and pulses could be sprouted to increase their nutritional value. Spices and condiments were to be used sparingly. His concept of diet fits the recommended food pyramid for health, which is recommended now. The Gandhian food pyramid is different from any other contemporary food pyramid in that regular physical activity forms the base of the pyramid. Gandhiji emphasized the need for regular, intensive physical activity, especially walking. Now, here you may recall that his definition for health went on to say that a person should be able to walk 10 to 12 miles daily with ease. Now, here you can see the Gandhian food pyramid where daily physical activity forms the base, and you have an ad libitum recommendation of fruits and vegetables, legumes and beans and whole grains to be taken at every meal, whole grains to be consumed without cooking in the raw form so that it would help in enhancing mastication and salivation. He also recommended dairy products with special reference to goat's milk and soy milk. Plant oils were recommended, and instead of sweets which are to be eaten sparingly in a normal food pyramid, here you can see nuts to form the foods at the apex of the pyramid. Apart from that, he recommended 6 glasses of water daily and total abstinence from alcohol and smoking. He insisted that meals should be taken at leisure in an unhurried manner. All food should be well masticated, mixed with saliva, and chewed well to a semi-solid fluid form before swallowing in order to facilitate easy digestion. As I said before, wheat, rice and millets are to be eaten in the diet as far as possible in the raw form to enhance salivation and mastication and facilitate proper digestion. He preferred unpolished rice and unsieved flour, which you can see in the pictures here, and he insisted that bran in these products was a source of fiber and nutrients which would prevent constipation and ease bowel movement. Now learners, aren't these the scientific facts emphasized by modern day nutrition? He strongly recommended against the consumption of refined cereal products such as baked food items and pasta. Now, let us move on to his views regarding the consumption of fruits and vegetables. Here you can see green, yellow, orange, red fruits and vegetables which according to Gandhiji should be consumed ad libitum, that is according to your wish. He suggested that liberal amounts of fresh seasonal varieties of fruits should be eaten raw on an empty stomach, especially in the early morning. It is the easiest way to add living enzymes to the digestive tract according to Gandhiji. So, one should eat ripe fruits, uncooked, organically grown vegetables, sprouts and wheat grass in the daily diet. The pictures here give you a glimpse into sprouted legumes and wheat grass. Gandhiji did not think that pulses were necessary if milk was included in the diet, especially for sedentary people, since either of these foods was enough to provide the necessary protein for sedentary activity. It could be surprising for many of us that the Gandhian foods included a calorie-dense food such as ghee. Gandhiji opined that consumption of small quantities of pure ghee is beneficial to health. He said ghee could be consumed because it was derived from milk and it was more like unsaturated fat and not cholesterol forming. Next, we move on to the sweetness. Gandhiji preferred jaggery over sugar. The reason he gives for this preference is again based on sound nutritional information that jaggery is less sweet, cheaper, and resulted in slower rise in the blood sugar level. The next reason he puts forward for this preference highlights the economist and the administrator in him. He says greater use of jaggery as a sweetener is necessary to promote the economy of poor and marginal farmers. India is a developing country whose agricultural economy depends more on production by the masses rather than mass agricultural production. This is yet another example of his holistic approach to nation building through good nutrition. Next, he opined that fats and oils should be consumed in the least quantities as they contribute to overweight, obesity, diabetes mellitus, and related cardiovascular problems, and it is also cancerous. Milk, according to him, is to be included as an optional food instead of pulses. His preference for goat's milk is yet another strategy to promote the interest of small farmers and rural peasants. During the Gandhian era, there were 440 million goats worldwide, which produced 4.8 tons of milk. More recently, according to the Food and Agriculture Organization, India is the largest producer of goat's milk, that is 4 million metric tons. Gandhiji advocated goat's milk because goats are mostly reared by small farmers and women laborers. The next reason he puts forward for favoring goat's milk is that glycerol ethers are higher in goat's milk. These are important sources of nutrition for infants. He goes on to explain that goat's milk has higher amounts of vitamin A, minerals, calcium, potassium, magnesium, phosphorus, chlorine, and manganese. On the other hand, xanthine oxidase in cow's milk is capable of damaging the heart and the arteries. All these facts, which have been propounded by Gandhiji, have been authenticated by the present day research findings. Mahatma Gandhi strongly advocates that tea and coffee are to be avoided. He puts forth the reason that tannin in these beverages is a component used to toughen leather in the leather industry. Therefore, tannin would also harden the tissues of the stomach and the intestines. He suggests vegetable soup to be consumed instead of tea and coffee or hot water. Honey and lemon could be taken and would make a healthy drink. Fresh palm juice or neera could be consumed instead of tea. It has nutritive value and is a good laxative. Gandhiji's adequate food plan was based on the welfare of the rural people and the have-nots. He derived a diet chart to provide maximum nutrition at minimum cost. He expressed his desire to introduce food reforms by using the simplest and cheapest foods. Next is his concept of fasting. We are familiar with fasting associated with several religious communities world over. We have the 40-day fasting associated with Lent, Ramadan, and monthly fasts in Hindu, Jain, Buddhist, and Baha'i communities. Fasting in Gandhian lifestyle was given with a view to revolutionize health, since fasting restores normal functioning of the digestive system. Regarding diseases, Gandhiji believed that disease is an attempt by the body to get rid of toxins. The toxins associated with diseases could be eliminated by fasting, eating, and drinking natural food. He strongly advocated against condiments such as chilies, pepper, turmeric, coriander, mustard, and fenugreek, which according to him should be avoided unless prescribed by the doctor. Here, Gandhiji offers a warning note to those habituated to eat more of hot foods. This is more suitable especially for people from southern states of India. He says that persons who consume more of chilies could meet with premature death. It is well proven by modern day scientific knowledge that excess consumption of spicy food would lead to ulcers of the digestive tract and may eventually shorten life. According to Gandhiji, eating sweets is equivalent to robbery. He opined that food should be taken as a medicine to satiate the disease of hunger. Sweets aggravate hunger and lead to overeating. This way, a person who ate sweets would feel overtly hungry in a short period of time and consume more food than what he would eat normally. Thus, he would consume the food due to another person over and above what he actually needed. This is equivalent to robbery according to Gandhiji. The Gandhian food pyramid recommended the daily intake of 6 to 8 glasses of water and total abstinence from smoking and alcohol. Gandhiji also gave adequate guidelines for maternal and child nutrition and feeding. He suggested that the mother's food during pregnancy grossly affects the child. So, he advised mothers to include health promoting natural foods and avoid all those foods which degrade health, which are now called junk foods of the present day. Children, according to the Mahatma, are the future of the nation. His views on child nutrition and feeding are put forth with sound scientific basis. He opines that children should never be overfed. They should be fed on demand and not according to a time schedule. Hunger should be the key to food, he said. This should be a great eye-opener message to many parents of the present day who, because of their great love for their children, tend to stuff them with high-calorie dense food during infancy and childhood. Modern scientific knowledge proves that overnutrition during childhood precipitates non-communicable diseases in adulthood and old age. To summarize, Gandhiji had been a practicing nutritionist with deep nutritional knowledge and positive nutritional attitude and behavior. He had offered several vital nutritional advice on sound scientific facts and principles. Gandhian foods can not only promote physical and mental health of the individual, but can also enhance the economic development of small and marginal farmers. His concept of goat's milk can augment production by masses, which is the key to boost the agricultural economy of our country today. Let us conclude by saying that Gandhian foods can help solve the nation's food problem and control most of the non-communicable diseases attributed to overeating, such as diabetes mellitus, obesity, and cardiovascular diseases. If popularized among young children and youth, The Gandhian food pattern can carve out several Mahatmas from among India's vast population. Thank you.